Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy Saint Sonder, and we got an interesting topic today. A little bit of controversy, and I'm not sure if you've heard, but there's a lot of talk going around on the matchmaking with Marvel Rivals, and I can speak to it. There's definitely some sketchy, I don't know, things that make me a little skeptical. So, word going around is that Netease, which is the game developer for Marvel Rivals, and I believe they're Chinese based. So, I don't know what that, take what you will with that, but I guess people are saying that they're putting bots in the lobbies, and that they are essentially rigging the matchmaking in a way that players are seeing the outcome of their gameplay. I guess they're going on lose streaks or win streaks, and people are getting the sense that it's not necessarily based on skill. Matchmaking is more based on just engagement. And the reason why I want to make this video is because I kind of want to speak to it too, and I'll make another video kind of showing some clips and some highlights of some other gameplay that I've done, but I can speak to it for myself. I've been in games where it feels like I literally have bots on my team. And I'm not just saying that, and you hear all on the internet, Reddit, in the comments, people saying, oh, skill diff, skill issue, whatever. But I've dropped several videos, and I'll drop some more, but I'm telling you, there's some weird, at least at the very least to say sketchy, weird sketchy things that happen where I'll be putting, and I've told some of my friends that like this game almost feels like a numbers game. And I've mentioned in previous videos, like you could go on a win streak, and then you could also go on a lose streak. So if you're playing competitive, trying to grind up, in my experience, it's almost felt like a numbers game. Like I go on these win streaks, and I just know in the back of my head, like, okay, I'm coming up on a lose streak here pretty soon. So time to be prepared, lock in, whatever. And I'm not the only one who's experienced that. And I've seen there's clips and other videos, people showing that there might be bots in their lobbies, little glitches where, like, there was a article that came out by I don't know, Game Rant or whatever, Game Radar, I think, showing that somebody was Invisible Woman, they were running up on somebody, and they're showing some weird glitches. So what I got for you guys today, just some, I don't know, just some different little, like, this doesn't have anything to do with the topic of discussion, but I thought it was interesting. This just happened, so November 12th. This literally happened when the game came out, or right around that time. But you got some executives that looks like they were arrested in 139 million in bribery money laundering scandal. I read into it, so yeah, it is a Chinese company, China's leading game companies, developers, general manager. So I guess they're doing some sketchy shit. Now this doesn't confirm anything that Netease is doing some weird sketchy shit in their lobbies, but I just thought it was interesting. It just goes to show, and this is like their second, it said somewhere, this is like their second one since like 2023. So I just thought it was interesting to see that, like, this company, obviously they're doing some kind of fuckery, they're up to some stuff, they're getting in trouble, so they're not entirely being transparent. So just take that with, just, I don't know. I just thought that'd be some information to take in. But then I wanted to bring up that, like, I want to bring up engagement optimization versus skill-based optimization. I kind of went down the rabbit hole. I'm not technical. I'm not a game developer. I just went down the rabbit hole and kind of just did some surface level stuff. But I just thought it was interesting to see that, like, you can go, these are the Google patents. This is from, I think, Activision. No, this is EA. So this is the patent from EA on multiplayer video game matchmaking optimization. And essentially, this goes all the way back to 2016. So this is almost 10 years ago. And what I'm seeing is that there's literally patents on these companies setting up games in a way to optimize the matchmaking, whether it's engagement-wise, skill-based, whatever. And I just thought that was interesting to see that they're doing this almost 10 years ago. They're making these patents, implementing these optimization techniques in their games. So you got one from EA, this one's Activision, this is from 2015, so this is 10 years ago. So I think it just goes to show that, like, there's literal patents out there on how to drive microtransactions. Like, they are essentially setting up developing these games. They're so smart that they're manipulating the game so that players are able to spend more money. That's essentially what it is, trying to get players to spend more money. And I just think it's interesting, like the lengths that companies are willing to go. I mean, that's capitalism for you, but if they're willing to put in this kind of work, I just wouldn't, I don't think it's so far-fetched to put it past a company that they're gonna, kind of manipulate the matchmaking to optimize it in a way that keeps players engaged. Like that's literally what their job is to do. And so I thought that was interesting. And then here you got, this is like a paper from I think UCLA, but this is EA, okay, Electronic Art. This is literally a PDF from EA on engagement optimized matchmaking framework. And I'm not gonna go into this, I'm not gonna read all this, but this essentially is just a PDF file from EA on how they optimize their gaming systems for matchmaking to make it more engaging and to get the most use from players. This is real life shit. This is player versus player mode video game in which multiple players direct engage in competition or combat. Like, they have entire frameworks on how to make their games more engaging and to the most optimized way possible. So if you don't believe it, I mean, you can find this stuff on the internet. This is all open source public information. Like, go for yourselves and take a look. I really would encourage some of you to do that, because it just kind of confirms that, like, these gaming companies, they don't make video games so that players can get it, like, have fun and talk to their friends and stream. No, they're making these games so that they can make money. And the way that they make money is by keeping you engaged and playing the game longer. So I really just thought, like, this is just interesting to me, and I hear all the skeptics out there saying, like, no, it's just a skill issue. If you're stuck in a rank, it's because you're there. That's part of it, yes, but the game could also be optimized to it's like a casino. The house always wins. Like, when you go and gamble, they're not setting it up for you to win. They're setting it up so that they win. And I think these gaming developers, these game companies, are the exact same way. They're setting these games up so in the end that they win. It's like, sure, the game's fun, it's addicting, it's blowing up right now, the hype is real about it, but at the end of the day, like, their best interest is them. And this is a free-to-play game, so don't get it twisted, folks. Like, just because it's free, somebody's got to be making money somewhere. So, yeah, man, they go through these links. Here, this is from, who's this one from? Optimizing. Oh, this is from Netease themselves. I got this from the official Netease website. This is how they optimize their matchmaking. It's like, if you don't, go find this for yourselves and go look and read into it. But you'll see that, like, they have entire frameworks on matchmaking versus skill-based versus engagement optimized, and it seems more like it's engagement optimized rather than skill-based matchmaking. That's what it seems like. That's what I've gathered, and that's what I've gathered, and that's what it seems like to me. So I just wanted to end this. I'll make it a quick video. I'm just kind of bringing it up because I see a lot of people talking about it. In my own personal experience, I find some weird games. What I mean by that is that I'm in Platinum, and I find it odd that you can have a lobby full of Platinum players. So meaning that these players, they obviously know how the game works. They played it. They know how it works. They understand the mechanics, the fundamentals of winning. And it's weird to me that you could get in a lobby of Platinum players, even Diamond, and they're playing like they never played the game before. Like, that's weird to me. I don't know about that. It's just weird. And I mean, and it's competitive, okay? You would think the games would be competitive. Like, maybe we win one round, the opponent wins one round, you go into overtime, you go into round 3. Hell, you maybe even, like, I'm talking like 5-6 point games, on each side. You would think they'd be competitive at a higher level. But that's not the case. I'm talking people are getting just swamped, getting rinsed, blowouts. How is that happening at the higher level of gameplay in these ranked lobbies? I don't know how that happens if it's skill-based, which goes to show that it's not skill-based. It is engagement-based. And there's been tons of talk on the internet about it. And here I have GDC kind of explaining, like, how they do their matchmaking. And you might ask, like, who's GDC? This is the Game Developers Conference. Been around since the 80s. GDC, I found this article on how they have algorithms that they practice in Netease games on how to model the effects of those factors and optimize the gross players. Utility in the assignment process, win patterns, factor that influence the victory in a match, the algorithms that incorporate those factors. They literally have algorithms that are watching your win patterns and factor those into your victory in a match. Bro, they're doing some straight up Terminator shit for video games. They're on some next, it goes much deeper than people just getting paired up in a lobby. Again, I'm not technical, so to me it's never crossed my mind on how technical and how deep it really goes when they're doing matchmaking for games. I've never really thought about it until I started getting more, more involved in just playing video games and just paying attention more and getting more competitive about it. And I'm starting to realize, and seeing patterns in Marvel Rivals in particular. I'm seeing a pattern in the matchmaking seems like it is set up in a way to make you engage more. I go on these win streaks, and this other players can attest to this. You go on these win streaks, then you go on these lose streaks. It's triggering those dopamine receptors to make it so you're hooked. So when you do go on those lose streaks, and then I've seen videos where they'll lose a couple games and then they'll just quit right there to send the algorithm the message that they're no longer engaging with the game because they keep losing. And then they're trying to trick the algorithm to set them up to give them a win. And I got some clips for you. I'm gonna drop them here soon of me playing as puny Banner, not even Hulk, and we are rinsing a team. That shouldn't have happened. It's essentially 5v6. How are we winning in 5v6 in plat lobbies? That shouldn't be happening. Unless the game is just matching you up with complete bums or bots. And I find it hard to believe that you were a complete bum and you made it to platinum. You could be Squirrel Girl or you could be Scarlet Witch, 1-star characters, and just spam one button. And I do not not play in any other roles, not play as far as positioning, not hitting object. You could just play those basic ass characters, spam a button, walk around. If you could do that, I don't think you would get all the way to platinum doing that. I think you would be stuck in silver. You could maybe get to gold, but I think if you played like that, you would be stuck in those ranks because you're not really progressing. If you just played those basic ass characters and played very simple, I think you'd be stuck in those ranks. But when I'm playing in these upper platinum and diamond lobbies and I'm seeing people play like they're playing in bronze or in quick match, I find it hard to believe that you even got into that rank. How did you get to that rank playing like that? So, hey man, I don't know. I'm gonna end it right here with this. We were talking about GDC. This is from 7 years ago, okay? Got 2017. This was a this is a game conference from GDC, and here you have one of the developers talking about on how he personally sees how ranked or competitive matchmaking should be. And I thought this was interesting. I'm gonna just play this clip. I thought it was very interesting because it is essentially the exact same framework on how Marvel Rivals is set up, as far as the tiers, as far as the ranking system. It essentially depicts exactly Marvel Rivals ranking system, this little clip that this guy's speaking on. So I thought it was interesting because it just goes to show that hey, they might be actually implementing this. I don't find it that far-fetched to think that they would set these games matchmaking to be more engagement based, because it is a free-to-play game. And mind you, this game just came out, so I don't know, just think about it from a business perspective. These gaming developers, they have to make money somehow, so it makes sense that they would make the game optimized for you to engage to spend money. It's a free-to-play game, they gotta make money somehow. So, hey man, if you like this, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. You can find me everywhere at Saint Sonder. I'm gonna end it there. We're gonna finish with this little clip. Check me out everywhere at Saint Sonder. Come join the Discord. You can find plenty of other players if you're trying to find some people to hook up with and get some lobbies filled and some Marvel Rivals, or just connect with some other players who like the game as well. But check me out on Twitch. We stream regularly. We're new to this, so we're trying to be consistent, but you can find me on Twitch. We have fun. We stream regularly and just chill. But thanks a lot if you watched to the end of this video, and stay tuned.
So again, my personal philosophy, you guys know this really quick, I'm kind of a purist, for better or for worse. When I work with game teams, I talk to them a lot about what their audience is, whether or not this is right for them. But my feeling is if you're gonna go skill, go all the way. Because the players who like skill-based systems, they're gonna love it. And the ones that don't, they're not gonna engage with it anyways, they're gonna ignore it. So you don't wanna cater to them as much. So go all the way. It's nice if your skill system has a link to the pro players. If I can look at the skill system and see at least the pro or kind of top amateur players near the top are the same as the pros that are playing in the real tournaments and things like that, live ones, then I'm going to know as a player what I need to do to get up there. I'll have a good feeling for that. Sure, it's kind of fictional. Most people are not, of course, not going to get there, but at least I can, kids can tell their mom, hey, I can win $1 million if I buy this game and play it enough. It's also not about, it's about your current, so I like skill systems that are players focus more on their current skill position, not their progression. So I like things like placement matches. So like instead of you starting at 1 and moving your way up, I say, you know what, play 10 matches, play 5 matches, and afterwards I'll tell you what your skill is. And you've seen that in probably a few games I've worked on or games that have liked that concept. And the interesting thing about this as an aside, if you look, when we went back in these games I played, looked at our data, players tend to play the placement matches. Players that you wouldn't expect to be as engaged in PvP in your game will also play the placement matches because it's like opening a present. I find out what my skill is. And they will tell you that the game they played after they finished their placement matches was amazing. It was way more tight than the one before. Even though usually if you did your skill system right, it's probably no different. That's a perception thing. So like some of these issues are definitely perception driven. Okay, so moving on from placement and position. I like games that have broad, meaningful ranks for relatability. So instead of lots and lots of numbers, I like when you have, so you guys have seen my systems, I like things like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, things like that. And I like that because players can remember them better, and also because, I'll show you in a second what the skill spread usually looks like. It lets me spread out the skill of the players such that the difference in skill between one chunk and another chunk is basically 3-to-1 odds if those guys play against each other. So a silver player will beat a bronze player 3 out of 4 times. And this is cool, I think, because those players start to identify and feel what that means like, what that feels like. A silver player knows what it's like to play a bronze player, and he knows how hard it is to play a gold player because you've designed the system with that in mind. Because again, going back to my skill slides, you know how to predict the outcome of these matches based on your skill system. So I like those kind of broad, chunky gaps. But on the schizophrenic side, or whatever, I like high personal granularity for each player to see movement. So when you compare yourself between players, I like the chunky ones. But I also like to give players enough of a granularity so they can see themselves moving. And that's going to depend on your game. Some games, your players want to see movement every single game. Others will be every few games or whatever it is. So this is where you add things in, like tiers within these chunky groups, numbers, some small sub-goals. They're kind of meaningless to compare players within those chunky groups, but it's nice for the players to see something. Okay, another thing I like for skill systems is an endless ceiling for the pros. So at some point, you break out into raw numbers and they can go up forever. They don't go up forever because in order to go up forever, you'd have to have someone who is infinitely good player. You definitely get players that are better, but they're never infinitely better. And what I mean by that is the very best player in your system is going to beat the next best player some amount of time, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, whatever it is. That defines a skill gap, and that player won't be able to push much past that skill gap if your system's calibrated right. And again, I told you I like transparency. So anyway, this is kind of how I design these skill distributions to look. Or this is one way I like to do it. If your audience is a bell-shaped curve, you can slice it up. In this case, I sliced it up by what's called a standard deviation. So if anyone knows about normal distributions, they're often talked about in terms of the number of standard deviations moving out from the middle. So the middle here is 0, and each line is 1 plus or minus 1 standard deviation away from the middle. And the nice thing about that is you can usually tune your system such that 1 standard deviation gives you that 3-to-1 odds that you want. So this is something you'll commonly see in games that I've worked on. And it, again, gives you those broad, chunky ranks that players relate to, and they know what they mean when they play against other players.